Well, continuing with our fourth delivery of such an extraordinary theme, I will say so much complicated and difficult, to which great quantities of deceits, lies, and falsehoods have been invested, of trying to erase it from the history of the Church, of trying to deceive us and have us abducted in an unexistent world by the religiousness, the paganism, the Paulinism, the Pedrism, the Jonesism, and other gerbs, where great conspirators, liars, scammers, fakers, flatterers, and deceivers have meddled their hands, so that the knowledge and the truth gets lost throughout the time. That has obliged us in some measure in this fourth delivery to make this journey of which is the true Church of God a theme that we are understanding in the measure that we are elucidating, seeing with more clarity, appreciating in a better way the panorama, how deceived and astray we have been throughout the times. Believe that topic of the orphans of the faith is a topic that must be continued, a very complicated and difficult topic. We will make everything possible, if God allows, to continue with the deliveries of that topic, because we consider that we have been shamelessly lied, that a terrible and extraordinary deceit has been impetrated, very difficult to be observed in its totality, appreciated in its magnitude, understood in its depth, but we cannot reject that the moment is historic, that the moment is transcendental, and that we have the obligation of continuing digging in this deceit in which we have been kept throughout the times. We have been trying to tack a little bit this passage that we have been using as reference, passage that has glimmered to us because it has shown us, taught us, we will say, things that otherwise we will be incapable of capturing, because the ideologies of this modern faith, the same as the ones of the ancient faith, undermine the very same bases that were being placed to construct the true Church of God. And say the true one because nowadays, the same as in the old days, there has always been a dispute of which is the true Church of God. The problem that the ideologists, the architects, the constructors of the institutions, of the doctrine, of the faith, of the teaching, of the knowledge, erred in the way, and that has had us sunken millenniums and centuries in a terrible and devastating deceit. That is why these words that are found in John chapter 14 verse 24 express the following: He that loveth me not, says the Scriptures, keepeth not my sayings, and the word which you hear is not mine, but the Father's which sent me. This passage, in which we do not want to delve much because of its potential, because of the Kabbalistic rules that are found within, for the eruption that it will have in some people, for the devastating message that is kept in it, stop us or do not allow us to break it into pieces and process it. We have therefore to have that caution, in the measure that we do not put the bases and the fundaments strong enough that can support the truth that are contained in this short passage of John chapter 14 verse 24. But we cannot run from this declaration of the Messiah, where he reveals us an extraordinary, terrible, and devastating fact. We'll try not to imbue much in order of not straying from the principal topic, because if we enter into the Kabbalistic rules, we will go to other places, which is not in this moment, as I understand it, what we're looking for, but we'll refer to this potent and controversial declaration of Jesus the Messiah that says, "And the word which ye hear," will repeat once again, "and the word which ye hear is not mine, but the Father's which sent me." If we make an extraordinary effort in a flow of time and we place these words with the purpose of allowing us to understand the dimension of what is being talked over here, we will find ourselves, I think, with an incredible and extraordinary fact that was buried by all the ones that pass after these declarations. And say this because I'm shaken by the quality of the revelation and the declaration of the Messiah. But we were taught not to give importance to these declarations, to not delve in the knowledge of them and the meaning of them, and to forget the revelation and the interpretation that these words can have in a determined context. It's incredible. We are really, I'm astonished. I'm pretty much shaken, surprised, because that text, this little portion of this passage reveals to me incredible things. I'm going to share one of them, and to share it, I'm going to read the text once more. Says John chapter 14 verse 24 in one of its parts. And the word which you hear is not mine, but the Father's which sent me. As said before, if we make a flow of time, we will find a reference made before today's same passage, developed in a form we'll say more historically, in the Old Covenant. And that has to do with the Ten Commandments of God. So in the flow of time, we find ourselves that God gave word to Moses that was reflected in 10 commandments. And these 10 commandments are the ones that exist, are regulated and observed until today by a great portion of humanity. Not all humanity, but a great part, and not all either. But what shakes is that in that flow of time, now it appears the Messiah telling us, just take Moses, we put the Messiah, the Son of God, telling us that once again God is saying to a new generation, look, I'm going to give you word, as in the times of Moses, I'm going to give you word so that you rule yourselves by this word and live a new faith. Not a new religion, because in the Old Covenant the Word of God became a religion, which is known nowadays as the Jewish religion. But here the Messiah is telling us that God is going to give once more word. Not the word of the Ten Commandments, not the word of the law, not the word of the prophets, but will give new word, so that this generation that has nothing to do with them can follow other way. And that is devastating, because we have not been taught that Jesus the Messiah made the labor of Moses in the Old Covenant, brought the word so that a new faith could be born and be separated from that religion because it had nothing to do with it. And that is terrible. That's why I said that it has shaken me, has affected me, because they are telling us that we have to understand that what the Messiah is bringing is something new, and that which is new cannot fall in the old bottles, because it is new wine. But new bottles have to be built so that this new wine is kept there. The problem is that the ones that follow didn't want to build new bottles, but used the old bottles, and that is why the new faith ended up being absorbed in great part by the old faith, and at present is so impudent that the new faith, between quotation marks new faith, has traits of the old faith. There are many religious temples that have Jewish names from the Old Covenant, many religious temples that have dancers that observe the Jewish feasts, well, a bunch of strange things that have nothing to do with the new faith, because the new faith has to be constructed with new fundaments and new pillars. As you can see, we are entering a terrible and dangerous terrain, because over it they have thrown a pile after pile after pile of lies, of deceit, of oblivion, of falsehood, to try to erase it from history. Always invite you to write to our email, thelastchurch7, 7 in number, okay, gmail.com. The same as to visit our web page, churchofgod.tk, where you can find all the materials, Also, we have a new radio which we are trying to share so that it can be heard, so that you can share it and invite others to hear it. This topic will take us a lot of time because, as you can see, we have to discover once again the purity of the text, the truth of the things, and that is not going to be easy because it has centuries and millenniums of deception over it. We hope that you can accompany us in the rest of the topics that we are addressing, and we are grateful for your attention.